right, guys, just to start the video off, and for y'all that are interested, and I think most of you probably are, what happened about the Sundown XV3s that we ordered. We did end up getting the newest one replaced with the one that matched the other one. So the one that had the rubber surround is the one we sent back, and this is the newest one that they sent us. So it is actually the same, I'll call it the same series. I know that they would say, well, they're all the same series, but this is the same as this. Now, what's funny is we have still noticed a couple of differences, but you might look at those two dust caps right now. You can see pretty well in this video.
Honestly, it shows up better on video than it does in person.
Yeah,
it looks a little more different on video.
It kind of does, but that dust cap is a little shinier than this dust cap. We're not as concerned about things like that, but it is worth noting. These were both built, what I believe, recently at Sundown. Yeah, ultimately, they made it right. We got subs that match, you know, to our liking. We're not going to have a single oddball now made in China. And they came in the same boxes, by the way. So they both have matching boxes now, because that's how they're currently coming. If they're made at Sundown, they're coming in boxes like that, which is like the two boxes from a couple of years ago. So we do have, Skylar's here with me. So we do have the black glue, and the black glue, you can see there too, we have the assembled in the USA stickers on both. We do have glossy. Yeah. Now look at the red tint though.
Yeah, so there's glossy black glue, but there is like a slight red tint. And then on this sub over here, it's just glossy black with like no red tint, no color tint at all. It's just black. That's
kind of odd, but you know, we're just going to chalk that up. That sometimes, I'm sure that's really good glue, and that is the nice flat wound coils. That sometimes they either get different glue or the glue just comes out a different shade. It's probably just as strong as the other glue. To us, these little differences is nowhere near as much of a difference as different mounting flanges and made in China versus made in America. Those were definitely differences enough for us to want to swap this sub out. But these other couple of little things that we just noticed isn't something that's going to like bother us. But yeah, so it did cost us $40. Nothing else has happened yet as far as anybody saying, hey, you know what, let us pay you back for that $40. And speaking of the $40, let me say this, guys. It was never about the $40. It's principle. It's still a principle issue. It's not about the 40 bucks, right? So they haven't reached out and wanted to make that part of it right or anything. Now, the video hasn't dropped yet, though. So I don't know. Again, if anything happens and they reach out in any way, I will make that video say part 1, and then I will make another video that says part 2. Because this video isn't even actually, we just wanted to include it. We're fixing to work on Skylar's box some more today, but since we're in the back of the truck and we just decided to pull these out and give y'all an update that we did receive that second sub. All right, guys, let me know what you think. We're fixing to move on to some other stuff. All right, guys, here's something else that we're super excited about. Tell me if you know what I mean here, but when we started building Skylar's current build, one of the things we come to learn to appreciate and love in our own build and when we see other builds is once we realize how important and how valuable and how cool it is to have a strong electrical system. Everybody thinks that big subs and big amps is cool, but when you dive off into a pretty big, powerful build, you quickly realize how cool the electrical side of a build is. And in a lot of ways, we almost appreciate that more than we do big amps or big subs, or at least as much. but honestly, maybe a little bit more. I don't really know, but strong electrical is really cool. It's one of those things that for a lot of people is boring because everybody wants amps and subs. Who cares about extra batteries or high output alternators and things like that is how a lot of people feel about it. And honestly, it's how I used to feel about it. But after doing those things, it's what I really have come to appreciate. And I know Skylar feels the same way. So we knew that we needed to upgrade his electrical system once again for this build, because if we're wanting to double the cone area and double the power output of his amps, we also needed to double the electrical. And so we feel like we are definitely doing that because he's wanting to keep those AGMs in his Tahoe as well and put some isolators in there and run 4 banks of Yinlongs. And these are super cool. They're the excess power Yinlongs. They just have an excess power wrap on them. But I believe excess power does a really great job of making sure that these are #1 cells. I don't know, just the reassurance that they're going to be good cells instead of some used or, you know, B cells or whatever. But Excess just recently come out with these that are white, or that might actually be a light gray, but they're really cool. Let's see, I think this is about the 3rd version. I don't know if version is the right word, but it's about the 3rd different wrap. And we're familiar with these. I do think it's my favorite lithium that's out there. I think Skylar would agree to that, but we are familiar with these because this is what I use on my test bench. And I started off with just 1 bank of 6. We have these separated like this on purpose so that y'all can see that there's 4 banks here. But I started off with 1, and then I got a second one, and then I bought 2 more at the same time. But that's what I have on my test bench. But the ones I have on my test bench, you can buy these in 3 different amp hours. They have 35 amp hour cells, 40 amp hour cells, and 45 amp hour cells. These are the 45s, so that is super cool. The ones that I have on my test bench are the 40 amp hour cells. So this is a little bit more amp hours than what my test bench has. And he already has the McMahon 370 alternator and 2 excess power D3400s. He also has that little JP LTO 6.0.
Yep. I've had a lot of questions asked about that little Down for Sound LTO 6.0. But I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I may keep it. I may sell it. I don't really know. But these batteries, all 4 of these banks, these are going to replace that. So instead of the LTO 6.0 being in the back, these are going to go probably in between the second row seats. And these will be the only lithium I'll have. And then, of course, the 2 D3400 batteries up under the hood still, and the same McMahon 370 alternator. But then there's going to be 2 isolators separating to have these back there, and these are going to be right next to my 2 SFB 8Ks. So they'll be supplied with plenty of juice. To be honest, this is probably overkill. A lot of people would probably say that I really only need about 2 banks to run that, which is probably true because this will be a lot more lithium and a lot more power than we've ever really dealt with. So the good news is I'm going to have overkill battery, so I'm not ever really going to deal with struggling voltage or anything. Nothing like that. And I am going to start charging. Probably the biggest difference in the system as far as the electrical goes, I am going to start charging my batteries. You know, when the vehicle's cranked and running, alternator's running, I'm going to start charging at 15.3 volts, which is what those AGMs are rated to go up to, if I remember right. So I'm going to be charging at a voltage that the AGMs are good to go up to. And these, they don't make full 100% charge or whatever until you're at about...
It's 16.4?
Yeah, 16.4. But at 15.3, these batteries are up to about 80% of their power. So they'll be, you know, pretty good and powerful at that range. And only having 1 alternator. I don't want to go with a dual alternator system just because that complicates things. But if I did, it wouldn't be too difficult. But as for right now, it would still work with some isolators. So
Yeah, we definitely feel like that with all of these and the two D3400s, the McMahon 370, that should be enough electrical for two 8Ks. But your voltage drop will always tell the story. It doesn't matter if you're stock electrical or you've got a little bit of electrical or a lot of electrical. When you are playing music, well, let me say, when you're doing burps for sure, but when you're playing your system, your voltage drop will tell you if you have enough electrical or not. So
I think with this amount of electrical being in the Tahoe, I think I'll still be in a range where with both 8Ks, I'll probably still be mid 13 volt range dropping. Maybe still stay in the 14 since I'm charging a little higher. I may not even get down into the 13s, but I think this will be plenty of electrical.
that would be awesome for sure. But we'll see. We'll see what his voltage does, and that'll tell us whether we have enough or not enough or whatever, and we'll make adjustments from there if we need to. But we like the idea of being a little overkill on pretty much everything, but especially the electrical. What else? So we are going to be putting these together with some of those nice bus bars and a balancer. If all four are connected together at the same time like they are on the test bench, then we only need one balancer. But if we separate them and we have two banks together and two banks together, then we will need two balancers. But we're thinking right now that between those two seats, if that's where they go, they will all four be put together and just need one balancer, and it'll look basically the same as what I have on the test bench. The ones I have on the test bench are the black ones, but these are super cool with that new color and the fact that they're 45 amp hours. So we haven't mentioned this yet, but this is how many amp hours, Scott?
It's 180 amp hours. So the 35s, they're less than that. I don't feel like doing the math. The 40 amps are,
That would have
40
been,
amp hour ones are 160, and these are 180 total. I guess it would have been 140. Yeah.
let's see. Yeah, so 140, 160, or 180. And
for
he
4 banks.
So yeah, he went with the
45s.
the 45s, get that extra 20 amp hours above like what I have on the test bench. So so pretty cool. And if you don't know, these are, I think, probably the best lithium on the market, but they are pricey. It's probably the most expensive lithium on the market, probably. These batteries right here, you're looking at $1,800 right here. And that's
actually more than that. I got them from Showtime Electronics because they're so far the only ones I've seen that have the white ones. I don't know if they're still just rolling them out to everybody else, but this is the Showtime Electronics is the only place I've seen them listed as a white cells. Everywhere else still has like the pictures of the black ones, which they may show up and you get the white ones, but they just haven't updated the listing or something. But they have the white ones at Showtime, and I can't remember what the price for all 4 banks before, but after I used code Jacob Viral, shout out to him. I'm sure y'all know who he is.
that was
used code Jacob Viral. It was like 5% or something off, and it ended up making my total 1824 or something like that. So,
yeah, the 45 amp hours do cost a little bit more than
they're about
the 40 amp hour.
$80 a piece more. So I think
Yeah.
each one of them is about $400. Each bank is about $400 for the 40 amp hours, and these are about $480 a piece. But honestly, I think it's worth it to get an extra 20 amp hours of lithium to get, what is it, $320 for
and he'll still be out another couple $100 by the time he buys the
bus bars, more wire and stuff like that.
Yeah, the wire is going to get expensive, but the bus bars and the balancer, he's definitely looking at a couple of grand worth of batteries. That's just these. He's already got a couple of grand in those in what's in the Tahoe now as far as just batteries alone. That's a couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
Well, let's do.
If you include the alternator and the 3 I got in there, it's about
that's probably a couple.
Yeah.
With the alternator and the batteries. But yeah, electrical gets expensive, guys. But it's really cool what it can do for your system. So anyhow, all right, let's get these boxed back up and see if we have time to get into anything else. We're definitely going to get into some more stuff today, but it might end up being a separate video. So All right, let's get these boxed up, Skylar. Guys, real quick, we forgot to talk about this. After we turned the camera off, we realized we did check all these already. We have not top balanced them yet. We will do that, I don't know, sometime soon. But they all checked out good, and there was only 1/10 different. They all read, Skylar, what was the voltages?
They all said 2.3 volts, except for maybe 5 or 6 of them said 2.2. But they're all, that's plenty close enough to be good.
Yep. So there wasn't an oddball that was different. It was only those 2 voltages that they all come out to be. And that's typically how they ship. If you ever get a bad one of these, the voltage will be like way different. Instead of, 2.2 or something like that, it'll be like 1.2 or 0.7 or just way off. And so if you ever buy these yin longs in any configuration, check the voltages on all of them when you get them, and make sure that they're all really close together, like within 1/10 of each other. And if you have an oddball, send it back and get you another one, because that one just might be a bad one.
One more thing to add. So with this being 180 amp hours worth of 4 banks, I'll now have, once we get it in the Tahoe, of course, I'll have more lithium as far as amp hours go than I will AGM, which has always been, I've always had more AGM. I've always had 160 amp hours of AGM and just a little 6 amp hour down for sound battery. But now I'm going to have 180 amp hours of lithium and 160 AGM. So I'll have plenty of lithium now.
That's a lot of amp hours by the time you add all of them together. So what is it? It's 3 something.
Yeah, what would that be?
180.
Be 320 plus 340. 340 amp hours.
340, and that's not counting the little down for sound, which may.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to hook that up.
It
that
may not get used.
Yeah.
So 340, you said? Yeah, that's a lot. It's quite a bit of amp hours there. All right, anything else, Skylar, before we wrap it up?
I think that's it.
All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. This probably is going to be a separate video, but we are fixing to put all this away, and we're fixing to start cutting out all the rest of them holes for the top baffle in his new box. But that's going to be a separate video. Come back for more. Thanks for watching.